Who's sleepy? Raise your hand if you're sleepy. Dang, why you so sleepy? You didn't get no sleep last night? What you was doing? You just got back from spring break. You ain't take no break during the spring? Well, good morning to y'all. We are here back again for the big homecoming part 2. Today's focus is thanks to our good friends and partners at Wells Fargo who have come from Charlotte and San Antonio and Dallas to create impact for you, add value to you. And so we're going to go ahead and get this started now. Who in here likes money? Anybody in here like being broke? Who in here likes money? Who likes being broke? Money, broke. Well, I have been a pleasure to work with Wells Fargo for a long time. They truly have financially helped me out because I'm gonna tell you the truth. I didn't know a lot about investments 10, 11 years ago, and I met some good people at Wells Fargo, and now I feel like I'm a day trader. So money is very important, you know, and really what it is really building wealth for you as a whole so that you can do the things that you can do, take care of your family, and live a healthy, productive life. And Wells Fargo is here to help you do that. So this is a very important component because, as you know, especially with a lot of us being minorities in this room, a lot of us didn't grow up with money. You know, I don't know about y'all, but I'm from a place called Decatur, Georgia, which is also known as the Hood. Anybody else from the Hood? Anybody else grew up, you know, not really having a whole lot of money? Everybody in here rich? Your parents rich? Okay, all right. Well, Wells Fargo, again, is going to help us, you know, learn a lot more about just all things money, all things wealth. And so I'm going to introduce Dewey Norwood, who was a good friend of mine, but also, I know he's going to hate me to say, but he is the face of Wells Fargo. That's what his title should say, is face of Wells Fargo. But Dewey is, you know, his title doesn't really define all that he does for just the community as a whole. So I'm gonna introduce Dewey as the head of I Care About the Community, and I'll let him tell you exactly what he does at Wells Fargo. But Dewey Norwood is a great ally just to our community as a whole, and I can't say enough about just our appreciation for you. So Dewey Norwood, everybody, please put your hands together.
Amir, thank you so much for the kind introduction. And you're leaving the stage too fast, man. You're leaving the stage too fast. You know, I come bearing gifts. It's good to bring gifts when you come to somebody's house, right? So I just want to let my buddy Amir know that I am so happy to be here with him in Texas. You want to explain what I've just given you, man?
So there's this corny song I wrote a long time ago called Happy by Pharrell, and these are the lyrics and the music notes to it, which I'm not happy to see because, man, these things drove me crazy. But I'm grateful, and to be honest, if it wasn't for the investment that people like Dewey made in me with Wells Fargo, I wouldn't have got to this point. You know, they just put things in me that you think that it's just about being creative, but really it's about just meeting people that add value to your mind, that puts you in a position where you can get to your best creative self. And people like Dewey and Wells Fargo did that for me. So this is special to me because of people like him investing in me at an early age and giving me knowledge, confidence, and wisdom. So thank you, brother. Thank you for this.
Happy to share it. And for our Jarvis Christian family, I got a second copy here so we can get Amir to autograph this one and leave it for you all. All right? So, and he's going to play this on the piano. Or should we make him sing? What y'all think? Oh. You can download it from Despicable Me #2 if you guys remember that. Well, hey, I'm Dewey Norwood. Really excited to be with you all today. I'm coming all the way from Charlotte, North Carolina. Any love for the Carolinas in the house here at all? See some NC love back here in the back. That's beautiful. So happy to be here with you and really excited about everything that we're going to be discussing throughout the course of the day. I've actually got some of my Wells Fargo colleagues that are here. I'm actually going to ask them to come and join us on stage in just a moment. They'll get an opportunity to introduce themselves. But a little bit about me. I am now a quarter of a century in the financial services industry. 25 years. Give it up for me. I'm only kidding. But again, 25 years for me actually in this industry. So yes, I have been a banker longer than most of you all have been alive. That's always interesting to kind of have that concept with things. Wells Fargo as an institution, again, for my banking colleagues, please come join us up here. Give it up for them too. You know, they're the real stars of the show. So they'll get an opportunity to introduce themselves in a moment. But a little bit about Wells Fargo, and then I do want to jump into some Q&A with our great partners that are here. Wells Fargo is a financial services firm that has $1.9 trillion in assets. So when you think about everyone that's investing or everyone that has a savings account or a checking account, those are all individuals that have invested with us. Some other facts around that. One in every 3 households here in the U.S. is going to have a banking relationship in some way, shape, or form with Wells Fargo. About 10% of the small businesses across the U.S. have a banking relationship in some way, shape, or form with our institution. So I hope that just speaks a little bit to the depth and the breadth of kind of how big our organization is. From our perspective, we have 250,000 folks that work for our institution and almost 90 lines of business. And one of the messages that I share with students all the time is whether you're an anthropology major or an accounting major or a zoology major, there's an opportunity for you to be able to be involved in financial services. And you'll be surprised when you talk with folks that are in the banking industry, most of them didn't study business or didn't study accounting. You'll find lots of folks that had social science backgrounds, others that may have had areas of other concentrations, religious studies, or all kinds of spaces. But the bottom line is wherever you are, there's an opportunity for you to be involved in the financial services industry in some way, shape, or form. We'll be talking more throughout the course of today. You have an opportunity to learn more, but I'm going to ask everybody to do me just one more favor before we hand the reins over to get the introductions for our panel. And we're going to keep our panel very short because I know we have lunch that kicks off here in about 15 minutes or so. Smartphone users, let me see you. Are you in the house today? You got your phones with you? I know the baseball players, they can't bring their phones. My coach wouldn't let us bring ours. All right, iPhone users, where you at? Woohoo! All right, Samsung users, where are you? We got both. All right, if you have a flip phone, it's time to flip phones where they're always in the room. Hold on, I know the lights are tough. Somebody's got a flipper in here. Boy, my dad loved that flipper. I tried to get him to get a smartphone. He was not going for it. But whatever device you have, whether you're a Samsung user, whether you're an Apple user, do me a quick favor. I want you to just Google the following thing for me. HBCU Legends, Wells Fargo. HBCU, put a space, and then Legends with an S on the end, and Wells Fargo. This is actually going to bring you to a card collection that our firm has created in celebration of HBCUs. We actually have 22 different brand marks right now in celebration of HBCUs. 19 for colleges, one for an organization called the Thurgood Marshall College Fund, another brand mark for UNCF, for the United Negro College Fund, and then also one for the CIAA basketball tournament. So many may be interested in knowing CIAA is actually a national partner of Wells Fargo. The MEAC conference, which just had their big basketball tournament a couple of weeks ago, is now serving in a national partnership role or a sponsorship role within our institution. So we're doing a lot to find ways to support HBCUs. And one day, I would love for us to have an HBCU Legends card for Jarvis Christian. What do you guys think? I'm a big fan of that. So we'd love to have some conversations in those kinds of areas. But take a look at that collection, please. Share that information. Throw it on IG. Throw it on your LinkedIn. Throw it on your social media handle so folks are aware of the great resources that are available there. All right, listen, I do want to jump in. We're just going to spend 10, 15 minutes or so kind of hearing from some of our Wells Fargo leaders that are on. I want to make sure that this mic is on. 1, 2, 3. It's always funny. You look at the mic, it's like, I've never seen the microphone before. I bet there's somewhere to turn on. All right, now it's on. So I'm going to ask all of our Wells Fargo colleagues to introduce themselves. And there's a caveat with this.
Okay.
I'd love to know, after you do your introduction, Barbara, what made you consider a career in financial services? So,
Well,
Barbara,
hello,
please, let's get started.
Hello, everybody. Very glad to be here today. I'm Barbara Burford. I'm the VP of Community Relations, and so I do philanthropy and community engagement. I am from San Antonio, so that's where my home base is. And I am not so new to Wells Fargo, but at the end of the year, it'll be 2 years. I worked for 15 years for the city of San Antonio, so I had never worked in corporate, and this wonderful opportunity came up to work in philanthropy. And what drew me to it was it called upon all my work experience. I have been deeply embedded in the community, supporting, housing initiatives, economic development, workforce development, and so now I lead this effort to make sure our dollars, our philanthropic dollars, are going to nonprofits that pour back in the community. So when it comes to small business, financial health, sustainability, affordable housing, that's who we're supporting, and then other local needs. So that's what brought me to Wells Fargo. So I don't work on the banking retail side. I'm on philanthropy and community development, community engagement, but it's just such a neat opportunity, and now I'm sitting here talking to y'all. So
All right.
it's all
All
good.
right, let's give it for Barbara. Y'all, before you pass the mic, what was your major, sis? What did you major in school?
I have an English degree.
See? All right.
I do.
There's an
Yeah.
example of one of those folks that doesn't have a finance background that's in banking.
Can I just add one more
Please.
thing? Because when you
Yes,
get
ma'am.
to preach to the students and really share your knowledge, let me do that. So y'all are starting off and trying to hey, this is what I want to do. I started off as a biology major, and then one night I contaminated the lab specimens, and I figured out that was not for me. And so I always loved writing, and that degree has served me so well because I've had to write a lot in my career. And that's the thing, don't limit yourself. Be open to all possibilities. It may not be in your degree plan, but be open to the opportunities that come to you. All right.
All right, let's give it up for Barbara, y'all. Let's hand it to E. Fox.
Hey everybody, my name is Elijah Fox. I'm with our university relations team as a campus recruiter here. Been at Wells Fargo, next month will be a year, and currently I'm in the Dallas office, but I'll be relocating over to San Antonio here in May. So why I got into Wells Fargo just as a company in the financial space, I guess, was more so because I realized how much opportunity is in finance. In the financial industry with Wells Fargo and just things like that, there's opportunities in just about every space you could want to work with. And I wanted to be placed in a position where I could come and connect with college students and teach you guys about the opportunities that are available, from internships to early talent careers, and then the projections that you guys can see as you go forward. So that's kind of what led me here. I graduated back in 2020, so I'm not that far removed. I was in the seats listening to a lot of these talk conversations, and so I feel like being in that realm and in that space, I have a lot of good advice and tools to how you can jumpstart your career and make sure you put yourself on the correct path. I see you with the camera, just make sure you're getting the angles, okay? And then, what was?
The major, go ahead and hit him with the major, too. What'd
Major.
you study?
So I got my bachelor's degree in public relations. Liked writing, liked speaking. Didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was a nursing major. Took my first chemistry class. Dropped that after the first semester and realized I wasn't going to be a nursing major anymore. And ended up pursuing public relations with the idea to get into marketing and things like that. Kind of stumbled into campus recruitment without knowing what the role was or that it was even a thing. And really kind of found my niche in, being able to give back and help college students, put themselves on that right path. So,
All right. Pretty cool story there. We're going to pass the mic.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Ebony Fisher. I am a newbie to Wells Fargo. I've been with Wells Fargo for just over a month now. My role within the organization is a senior sourcing specialist. And essentially what I do is I'm heavily engaged in recruiting and specifically focused on diverse backgrounds and populations and integrating them into the organization. A little bit about me. I am as unique as each and every one of you. I did not have a straight path into what I wanted to do, just like Elijah. Originally, I went to school for nursing. And I'm originally from California, so if anyone knows about California, there's a huge lottery list to get into a nursing program in California. And when I looked at that, I said, I'll do something else. I'll do something else. So I changed my major to communication and then changed again into business management after I'd already started a career in healthcare in business administration. I think one of the biggest things that I love about the work that I do in recruiting and what made me want to transition my recruiting efforts and diversity efforts into the financial institution and organizations is that there's not enough of us there, whether it's on a branch level or a corporate level. And I am a big advocate. I will be the big sister from another mister to any person when it comes to these hiring managers. And so it's all about making sure that there's visibility and presence in every level and in every space. And Wells Fargo is about that life as well.
All right, let's give it up for Ebony, y'all.
It's still morning. So good morning, everyone. My name is Alexis Snow. I am the Vice President of Philanthropy and Community Impact, and I cover the Dallas-Fort Worth territory, so much of North Texas. I do everything that Barbara does, but for a different metroplex. And I chose, I'll start back. I'm from Michigan, although I live in Dallas now, and I went to Michigan State University. I studied human development and family studies. Y'all, I'm gonna be honest, as a first-generation college student, I picked the major that was like, oh, I wanna help people one day, and all I did was focus on graduating. Because finances, how I could afford there, I couldn't stay an extra semester. I always had to have a job to be able to afford to be in that seat. So I was just like, head down, get good grades, graduate. You don't have time to explore, you don't have time to switch. You need to get a degree because that will set you farther apart than your family of who didn't go to college. Maybe that story resonates with you, or maybe it doesn't, but that was my story and how I chose my major. But I moved to Dallas to join City Year, which was an AmeriCorps program. It was like, hey, somebody mentored me into going to college, and that was my way of giving back. And I fell in love with the opportunity that Dallas has to offer to lift everyone up. Like, it's a huge space where organizations are there to, like Big Brothers Big Sisters, or the Boys and Girls Clubs, or even smaller grassroots organizations like the Vickery Meadow Youth Development Foundation that's encouraging refugee students to go to college by providing them with access and scholarships. So that market was like, I'm going to float around until I find my passion, and it was so lucky that I couldn't pick one. And when the opportunity came about to join the Wells Fargo Foundation, where I could be the person to go empower these organizations with capital, money, to continue to do the work to impact students who come from backgrounds like me, I jumped at it. So I'm sitting in what I would call like my dream role for the first stint of my career, and that's why I joined Wells Fargo. And it's been a great ride since November, because that's when I joined. But glad to be here today.
All right, all right. Cowboys fan, you mentioned them boys.
Darn right.
Oh, see, turn her mic off, please. Can we turn the mic off?
Don't start, Louis. Don't start.
I'm on the other end of I'm not going to get in trouble today.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sam Kits Cam. I go by Kit, so feel free to call me that. And honestly, Alexis, listening to you, it's like, where was that organization where it helped individuals with refugee backgrounds to, be aware of the different opportunities? I asked that, and it might have been out there when I was growing up here in Texas, right? But I actually am a refugee, so first-generation college student as well, graduate. My background is actually biology, chemistry, go figure. I'm actually here in the early talent realm in university programs. So I absolutely found my way in this space. It was a natural niche for me, just because I now have an opportunity to share with individuals that weren't aware of the different opportunities out there. Originally, I wanted to be a doctor because I wanted to help individuals. That was my goal in life, because I want to add value, right? But as I've learned and grown, I realized that you can actually help and contribute and add value in many different ways. And this is where my niche is. I would love to share my journey with you all, and I look forward to really hearing your story and your journey and how you've gotten here, but more importantly, how can we partner to get to where you want to be, okay? So come talk to us.
All right, let's give it up for Kit, y'all. Throughout the course of today, our Wells Fargo team is going to be here. We have a booth that will be set up, a table set up out front. to be able to come and talk with students about career opportunities, certainly to talk about what opportunities are available now, and even some aspirational areas that you all may have an interest in. And again, 90 lines of business across the entire firm. There are so many different things that you can do. And again, no one up here is an accounting major or business major. Did you all hear that? Political science was my major. I didn't mention that earlier. Political science for me. So, but then we had a lot of the hard sciences here, social sciences, and other kinds of areas. So just know you can build really, really great skills, and you can find ways to transition those over. All right, in about 3 minutes, we're going to be transitioning into our lunch breakout with things. Kit, I want to stick with you for a minute. We'll bring the mic back this way to folks. We're going to be talking a lot about financial principles. Can you share maybe just very, very briefly a financial principle that maybe you wish you knew when you were in school that you have now applied to your life today? Please.
The sad part is I know a lot of the principles, sometimes I don't always apply it.
Right.
So honestly, I think one of the biggest struggles that I've been challenged with is really understanding the concept. It's not really about how much you make or earn, it's really how much you're able to really protect and save some of those, right? And grow that money, make it grow for you so that you can reinvest and continue to grow that for future generations, honestly. And that's really one of the important things that I've learned is, again, how can you, leverage that money that you have?
Love it. I love it. I love it. Great point. We'll continue to pass it on down. What do you think, Madame Snow? What do we need to think about on the finance side?
One principle that I would really advise you all to do more research in and start to learn and understand is the importance of credit building. As I navigated all of the financial aid and spaces myself, as you become an adult and apply for your first maybe apartment or credit card or loan for a car, credit will become a big factor. And if you start building it now while you're in college and really don't pay attention to it and allow that to matriculate, it'll become a lot easier for you to secure the different things that you want in life, because that is a way that people trust you with their money in terms of a loan, and give you the financial capital that you need to go and get the things that you want out of this world. So look into credit and figure out ways to build that at a steady pace while you're in college.
Love it, love it. How many folks in the room are building their credit now? How many folks feel they could use some additional assistance building credit in some way, shape, or form? Okay. Oh, by the way, this is a real talk kind of a day, right? We're going to have real conversations. We're going to be candid. You guys got to give it back to us the same way we give it to you. So if there are questions that are out there around credit, again, you've got folks that have been there. They've done that. They've had the experience in those kinds of areas. Ebony, please talk to us. Financial principle from your perspective, ma'am.
One of the major financial principles that I wish I would have had a lot earlier that I do have now is the discipline of saving. You know, especially in the African American community, we are very flamboyant, gregarious, and we like to show off and showboat. So as soon as we get a little bit of coin, you're going to see it somewhere aesthetically. And a lot of times, I think we have associated that with the look of success. But the ultimate flex in success is being able to do whatever it is you want whenever you want to do it, and having the savings to invest in yourself, an idea or an opportunity is the ultimate flex, not necessarily what you look like. So saving has become a phenomenal principle. I try and save more than what I live off of. And yes, I treat myself to nice things, but the things don't define me. It's what I have in the bank to seize an opportunity to give, to sow, or invest. So I would like to encourage you guys all to find ways to save a little bit of coin wherever you can with your part-time jobs while you're in school.
There you go. There you go. Mr. Fox, what's top of mind? Finance, talk to us, Doc.
Yeah, top of mind is I feel a little cheated being at the end right now because they're saying everything. But no, honestly, so I'm 25 and recently figured out how important it is, like she said, to be financially disciplined. I'm not going to lie, when I got this job at Wells Fargo, first thing I did with my first check is go out and buy a new car, even though I had just bought a car a year earlier. And I set a goal for myself of, I want to own a home by some point this year. And so learning how to actually create a budget understanding that you need to be living within your means, and that doesn't mean, paycheck to paycheck if you can afford not to, but understanding what you have coming in and setting a budget around that, and then being strict and disciplined with yourself and not diverting from it goes a super long way, because within like 10 months, I went from kind of recklessly spending. I mean, I had money, but I was recklessly spending. And I set myself up in a good position to where I closed on my first home last week. And so just being...
Right now?
Thank you. Thank you. But yeah, I couldn't have done that without being true to myself and saying, like, this is my budget. If I don't have it, I don't have it. I'm not going out with friends on the weekend. If I had $100 I gave myself this week and I spent it on Monday. So just being financially disciplined, setting a budget, and living within your means. You don't have to show out for anybody. Everyone's in a different portion of their life, and just because your friend is out here buying the Hellcats and buying this, that, and the other, it doesn't mean you have to. There's a bigger goal in mind at the end, and if you can keep that discipline, you'll be going much further in life.
Home ownership at 25. Let's give it up for home ownership, fam.
Very awesome.
All right, Barbara, bring us home on this one.
Okay, I think I would say the implications of debt, meaning when I went off to college and took out student loans, sometimes you still had a little extra. I was like, you know what, let's go to New York for spring break. That sounds like a good idea. I mean, stuff like that, and realizing I wish I was a little bit more strategic, like if you don't need that money, don't take it and think like, well, it's just extra money I have off of this student loan. Be smart about that, because if we know anything, student loans follow you till death. Yeah. Like they really do. You can't go, but you can't say I'm going to claim bankruptcy and write that off. That follows you. So being strategic about the amount of debt you're taking out, how you're balancing working, saving, budgeting, all these things that everybody on the panel has says, it has to come into play in your college years. It just has to. You have to find that discipline, because then when you do get out in the real world and you realize, my first job was with a nonprofit. And I didn't make a lot of money. It wasn't like I came out and then I had all this. That's when it really set in. I have to budget. I can't eat out every week with everybody, because, you're going to be, overdrafting your checking account, which I did, and, then those fees. And so you learn these hard, not lessons, but you're young now. You can start applying these things right now, so then when you get out, you've already got that discipline, and it is such habit, and you're going to reap the awards. I sit here now older, and I'm in a better place, no credit card debt, just have to pay on my house, take care of my family, and I'm in a better place. But man, if I would have just had the discipline to be like, no, going to New York, spring break with extra loan money for my student loans, not a good idea. A lot of fun, but not a good idea. So yes.
All right. Let's give it up for our panel, guys. I think some great information there. And I'll just add to it as we close this segment with pay yourself first. You have to find a way to celebrate yourself, and that means by investing in your future. So pay yourself first. I think that's a life lesson that a lot of the folks that I work in the financial industry have said, you've got to find a way to pay yourself first. The loans are going to be there. The other things, the responsibilities are going to be there. But find a way to pay yourself first, so you're building for your future. So, well, don't forget, all of our partners will be here throughout the course of today. I would encourage everyone to make sure to get connected with each of them on LinkedIn. How many LinkedIn users in the house? How many? Okay, that's not enough. That's like 22% of the room. LinkedIn is a really, really great resource, and I would encourage you all, for those that have accounts, please make sure you get the LinkedIn information for all of our partners that are here. She always wins.
We're always competing. I'm catching up.
She's like the queen of LinkedIn, which is the thing. But it's a great way to kind of stay in connection with folks from a corporate perspective. Hey, we're just about to transition over to lunch, so I'm actually going to ask Robbie to come up just for a brief moment to give some instructions there. And again, on behalf of the Wells Fargo team, we're really appreciative of having an opportunity to be with you all today. Special thanks to everyone at Jarvis Christian University. Thanks so much for inviting the Wells Fargo team to be a part of today's programming. So we'll turn the reins over to the Jarvis team from here.
We're going to continue the day and now transition to our fireside chat that we're going to have with our special guest, Dr. Lamont Rucker. Some of you guys may have seen him on television or Family. Oh, on television or film, in your movies. But you're going to see a much different side of him today, which is that intellectual side, which is amazing. So I'm going to bring up our partners. We're going to call her I call her Barb Oprah. It's Barbara and Oprah together, so Barb Oprah, because she's the, Dewey is about to find this out, but she's the head of Oprah Affairs, meaning that if they need an Oprah Winfrey for Wells Fargo, they call her. But no, she's the vice president of community engagement and philanthropy at Wells Fargo, based in San Antonio. She's come here to impact, add value, and she's going to be our Oprah for our fireside chat with Dr. Lamont Rucker. So I'm going to pass it over to Miss Barbara, better known as to me, Miss Barb Oprah. And she has a microphone already because she does this. She doesn't need a handheld mic. Watch this.
That's just how I roll, right? Well, good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Yeah, well, I hope you have enjoyed. This day has been so jam-packed with great information. It has been really a pleasure to connect with you all. I know my colleagues had touch points with several of you at lunch and in the morning session, and we're really just glad to be here. You know, before we jump into the fireside chat, we have a video we would like to play. So that was our debit card logo collection. So that's just another opportunity if you have a debit card with us to show your school pride. So we just wanted to share that. Now I'd like to give a proper introduction to Dr. Lanham Rucker. Dr. Rucker is an actor who began his career on daytime soap opera As the World Turns and All My Children, before roles in The Temptations, Tyler Perry films, Why Did I Get Married? Why Did I Get Married Too? And Meet the Browns, and its television adaptation. In 2016, he began starring as Jacob Greenleaf in Oprah Winfrey's network drama series Greenleaf. Dr. Rucker is married to Kelly Davis Rucker, a graduate of Hampton University, and as of 2022, he stars in BT Plus drama The Black Hamptons. Dr. Rucker studied at Carnegie Mellon University and Duquesne University. Please help me welcome Dr. Lamont Rucker. All right. I can sit in between y'all. Yeah, you want to sit there? Yeah. I'm going to go here.
Musical
Thank
chairs.
you. Thank you. I appreciate that. It sometimes doesn't happen often, but I appreciate it. You know, this is going to be a really fun chat. And I just want to start off with just recognizing both of your accomplishments in this creative industry, and the fact that you have this friendship. Can you start, Lamont, with talking about? It's hot. Yeah, I'm hearing it. Is it from this? It's this one. Oh, okay. Okay. Lamont, can you share with us, how did you went off to college, now you're an actor, philanthropist. How did you get this start? I mean, was that your initial thought, I'm going to be an actor, or how did you get to this place?
Okay. I'm going to try to give y'all short answers. I'm going to try. But that's a really dense question, really. So, but first of all, hello, everyone. Hello. Wonderful to be here. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Newman, for this opportunity and your hospitality. You know, our brother Dewey Norwood and the entire Wells Fargo family, and of course, just as importantly, all of you, this Jarvis Christian University community. So I've been hearing a lot about you. My brother Amir has been raving about this community, so really glad that this worked out, that I could come and spend some time with you. So thank you very much for having me. Yeah, come on, clap for yourself. Don't be shy. This is a fireside chat, you know, right? This ain't like, yeah, you know, like, oh, this is like, y'all acting like this is the church you scared to celebrate in or something. Let's relax and enjoy each other for a little while, all right? Okay, there you go. All it takes is one. There's always one, right? Like Uncle Brown used to say, it's a celebrate. It's a celebrate. All right, so let's enjoy ourselves. But to your point, to your question, I did not make a very active, you know, very specific decision that, you know what I want to do, you know, for the rest of my life. And that actually is what I think has been an advantage to me, for lack of a better word, is that what I learned to do instead was explore and not be afraid to do new things and try new things and listen to myself, right? Listen to, well, you got to be careful how much you listen to other people, but you also do have not be afraid to listen to other people, especially the older ones. Hello, I know y'all don't want to hear that. But again, the wise ones who have known you longer than you've known yourself, right? Or who are the ones where they're like, you know what you've always done ever since you were little, right? Or those, right, that kind of stuff that you wouldn't know because you don't have that, you didn't have that opportunity of observation, right, over your own childish, you know, childhood, maybe just natural kind of tendencies, right? I mean, that's the thing about children and most young people, even those of you, but unfortunately, many more of you are probably impacted and controlled or pressured and influenced by so much around you. How much are you really actually being yourself? But especially very small children that are significantly more genuinely being themselves. What I ended up having was a lot of information about, you know, who I really am, or again, right, that's always changing too. Who I likely, right, truly am. And throughout my life, I've always kind of asked myself that question and been kind of open to the information that's come to me through that conversation with myself. I think that's what prayer is about. That's what meditation's about. That's what just being silent is about. But that's also what, like I said, exploration is about. When you try new things, you discover new things about yourself, right? You step outside of your comfort zone, something you didn't think you were capable of. You're like, yo, that was actually fun. Or you're like, yo, I'm never doing that again in my life. That was stupid, right? And then sometimes you're like, I almost died, but I didn't. And not only did I not die, I realized, if I do that again, but differently, there's something there. Or, you know, something about that needs to change. And maybe I'm the one to do that and do it differently, and it becomes not only a different experience and opportunity for myself, but maybe then it starts to be something different for other people because I came along and helped to change, you know, I guess change the rules. And we all have to almost have the audacity to believe that we're capable of changing things for the better, right? So my life has been more of that. It's been kind of a manifestation of that kind of thing. And it just so happened, I think I was in 7th grade, and I remember, and again, this is part of the direction of elders. I don't know who put my academic program together, but I remember asking to be in some like drama program or some, you know, playwriting class or something like that, I think it was. And I had to write a play, so I wrote this 1-act play, and then I guess the teacher and even the class, I think we kind of voted on which were the best ones and which ones would we actually put up on stage in front of the school for presentation. And my little one-act play was one of them. So that's 7th grade. But I also remember 4th grade, Black History show, right? Of course, we all have a Black History program, right? My 5th grade teacher gave me the responsibility of being Martin Luther King in the Black History program. And as a 4th grader, I had to do the I Have a Dream speech as a 8, 9-year-old. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not an easy task. I've done it again since. That's not an easy task. But I remember these opportunities, and then I remembered again what I discovered about, I was scared to death, but I was like, oh, wow, I can do that, you know? And then when the opportunity came to, we moved again, and when it was time to apply for high school, again, I remember in particular, was it my dad? No, I think it was my mom who actually handed me the brochure and was like, hey, there's this performing arts school, the Duke Ellington School of Arts in DC, which is where I grew up. And she said, if this is something you think you wanna do, here's the process, here are the rules, here are the requirements. It's up to you to prepare yourself for the audition. So if it's on, you need a little help, let us know, that kind of thing. But of course, let me not forget one very important fact. My mother and my father are both artists. They're both educators, they're both scholars, they're both activists, they're both, you know what I mean? So that's the kind of very organic, natural environment that I was already being raised and reared in. So it wasn't like this was some far stretch of the imagination, but just the same, they weren't facilitating me having access to things that they didn't have any evidence would do me some good, whether I liked it or not. At the same time, things that I probably showed enough potential in where, you know what, this might be something you want to consider doing. And trust me, that high school program was training on a whole nother level. It was a very serious commitment, but I can definitely tell you that school and that experience absolutely changed my life, not only as an artist, but as an academic. Again, like I said, this spirit of service and all these things didn't just come from my home and my family and my community and elders and so forth, but it definitely came from how we were trained in that school and in that artistic and cultural environment, even of Washington, D.C., not only the Duke Ellington School of the Arts. So that's really been so those are the early kind of roots, if you will, and there's a lot of that I could leave out, but there's too much of it that I couldn't, and there's a lot more to it, but we ain't got time for that. But yeah, that's probably the best way to kind of just give you a little bit of what that early, like, kind of fertile soil looked like and where that came from in me to be here still at this point in my life and career. And it's just kind of building on that and staying true to some of those early instincts, some of that early access to information and opportunity, and keeping that spirit of exploration and discovery and self-examination and and so forth, like, always in there. And I believe when you trust that, you follow the spirit, you never, you may not know where you're going, but the universe takes care of you, and God provides when you do what you're actually designed and aligned to do.
I want to touch upon some nuggets to make sure everybody in attendance today takes away some stuff. Knowing yourself, I thought that was so important, because so many of us, we sometimes come up with our parents like, I want you to be this, and you're chasing their dream and not your dream. So my parents are from Ghana, and every African wants their child to be a doctor or a lawyer. Those are facts. That's a real thing. And so I went this long road of doing that until I got to college. I went to high school for health professions, and that right there, it was so hard for me, because deep down I was like, oh God, I can't stand being in a lab. I don't like this. I like to write. This is what I like to do. And changing that was such a struggle, because you don't want to disappoint. Right. So knowing yourself is so important.
And then having the courage to be yourself. Which
and not letting that
doesn't really sound like it makes much sense, right?
Cripple you.
Yeah, but that's huge.
And because that's going to let you, when I hear you, it sounds like you are really working in your passion and your purpose, right? And so you've got to get to that place of passion and purpose, because that will feed you in ways you can't even imagine.
Yeah.
And so thank you for those nuggets.
My pleasure. I mean, I do it for free, you know, so honestly, so that's the thing. And it's nice to be able to do something for free that you can actually make a living doing. I mean, you can't, to me, you know, you can't beat that.
Yeah, and speaking of passion and purpose, you know, touch upon the work you're doing, Amir. I mean, you've had this very, very successful, you know, career as an executive producer, worked with some top names, Bruno, Kanye, Trey Songz, all these, I mean, and now you're here, you know, on campus, making sure you are bringing the information, bringing the resources, really connecting these students at HBCUs. Talk a little bit about that.
Borrow your mic. Sorry. I took her wireless mic. She was feeling the Oprah vibes too much, so I was hating a little bit. But yeah, you know, as I'm thinking about this, I keep thinking about Lamont, and I'm gonna tell you why. It's because when you have people, I was thinking about, he got an award, it was like 2 years ago with the 100 Black Men, and they asked me to introduce him. And so I was like, man, what am I gonna say about this dude? But I thought about how...
You always gotta be careful when your boys introduce you.
Right, like what do I wanna say? But
it could go real wrong.
Right, it could. But it was a very PG introduction, a very Jarvis Christian-like introduction. And so, but you know, I remember thinking about what I was going to say about him, and it kind of goes in line with that. And I was like, what's the main thing that I could say, you know, when I think about the relationship he and I have, and it's purposeful, right? And one thing about him that relates to that question is as successful as my brother is, he flexes purpose and not power. I'm talking about every time I talk to this man, I'm learning something. He gonna school me on something. He like, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, you gonna learn you something today, boy. You gonna learn you something today, boy. I know you ain't in school no more, but you gonna learn you something today. And so when I think about that and how I am now, it's just because I've had people like him in my life for so long. People who are just like, I'm gonna invest in you. I'm gonna invest in you, right? And why is that? It's because I also cultivate the relationship. I don't expect him to just give to me. You know, it's about being a philanthropist to him too, and not expecting anything in return. And so that relationship, I learned at a very early age, that it has to be a mutually loving, caring, giving relationship. And I've always understood that. And so that's honestly how I've gotten to where I am. Somebody asked me recently, you know, you've done all these things, and, you know, what's next? And I said, you know what? I don't know. I have no idea. But the one thing I can guarantee you for sure is I'm going to be a good person. That's it. That's all I can guarantee you. I don't know. I couldn't tell you that I was going to be working with Bruno Mars.
Give it up for that.
I don't know. I can't tell you that. I have no clue. I cannot write. Even Lamont, he couldn't have told you he was going to be the star in Greenleaf for what, 4 seasons? You know, we didn't know that.
Six.
Excuse me. 6 seasons. But my point is, you can ask us all day what we're going to be, and I think the one thing that we can really think about that help propel us to where we are is just being good people, building these relationships, and taking it a step beyond, hey, what can you do for me? Let's do. It's just feeding into people, you know, really touching their souls. And so I think that's what I've done to help me get to this place, and it's using my creativity to also cultivate meaningful relationships, and not just always try to use it for monetary gain or business gain. And yeah, like I said, when you asked, I just kept thinking about, I've just had people like him in my life, and it's like I have no choice but to be like this, to give back. Because every time I talk, you know, even if it's just him giving information, he's always giving. Here. He don't even know he's doing it. You know, he just be being himself. Here, take this. And so that's just my norm. And I think I say that to you. Make that your norm, is that you're a giver. Make it normal for you. It's okay to be a good person nowadays. I mean, I think that's something that we have to remind you. It's cool to be a good person. It really is. It has benefits. And yeah, I think that's what's really helped cultivate me as a person, is just be good to people, you know, be kind, go out your way. Just because you don't look like somebody, you're not from the same place, like, be the person that will speak to that person and make that person feel comfortable. Every time I get on the airplane, I love when I sit next to, typically me and him always talk about how we fly Delta. And typically on Delta, there's going to be somebody next to you that does not look like you. So typically, I'm sitting next to an older white man, right? So sometimes when I'm in first class, I'm sitting there, and of course he's wondering, who's this guy? It's kind of short to be a ball player, so no, he doesn't play ball. He must be some rapper, because I typically have on a hat, because I don't like people to see my hair, my hair hanging down my face all the time, so I kind of pin it up. But it's my time to represent and give him a different narrative too, and because if you think about it, if you don't inject yourself in other culture, you won't know anything else about it. So if all you hear is on the news, police are looking for a black man who robbed and killed, and that's all you know, that's all you're gonna think about that particular culture, race. So for me, I'm a black Korean man, so it's time for me to make sure he knows who I am, what I represent. So I ended up having an amazing conversation with this dude, but also, guess what? I learned something about him. I'm engaging with him, and to me, that's just how we bridge the gap too. Is just making sure that you are being cultured, and that you're at times not seeing color. You're just seeing humans for what they are, and that experience that you're giving him probably is going to change him just as much as it has you.
Very, very, very valid point. Funny thing is when when P. Diddy used to do his white party, you're like, where's this? No, I was not. No, I was not there. I was not there.
Before she was, woo, gonna find some photos.
I didn't get that.
Or had you in the Hamptons, going in.
But I replicated that. I was like, well, I can throw my own white party. And part of that party was to invite people, a lot of people who didn't look like me. A lot of people I invited had never been into a black person's home. I knew this for a fact. I reported to someone, and he was like, I'm going to come. And someone walked up to me and goes, Ed's coming to your party? Ed's been invited to all of these functions that we've thrown, and he's never come. And this is when I worked for the city, not Wells Fargo. And I was like, Ed's coming. And I would intentionally have, one year I served Puerto Rican food, 1 year Jamaican food, because I knew people had not tried other foods. And it was so interesting, because I would just kind of step back, and people just talking to other people who didn't look like them, and just realizing I enjoyed that person, and breaking down these whatever. Again, you stay in your little bubble, you hold on to biases, stereotypes of people, all sorts of ignorance, exactly. And so really, really, really great words of wisdom about talking, even though I don't talk to me on the plane. Just don't. I'm that person. I'm going to go to sleep. I'm not talking to anybody.
She's tired from the all-white party.
That's jokes.
Yeah.
We keeping it real.
We are.
Hey, don't let your professors be fronting either. When they ain't in these sweaters and suits and ties and blazers, they turn up. Trust me. They've been there. Don't let them front. They've been there. They've been there.
Yeah.
Look, they're going to be mad at me we're not having him back. Because
don't let Dr. Justin fool you now.
He out here telling all our secrets.
I
yeah. We're going to find some pictures of you from the 80s and tell all your business.
Dr. Newman liked to dance.
I really like this, this alignment of friendship. I think oftentimes, when you start off in college, sometimes you're just like, oh, I'm here. You're not really thinking about who you align with. I will say that a friend that I started 6th grade with, we both went to middle school, high school, and college together. She's now a nurse practitioner, started her own business. I have done very well for myself, but we always encourage each other. Could you talk about that? I think sometimes, college students don't think about who you surround yourself sometimes is that motivator for you. Not that friend who's sleeping, not going to class. You don't need to be friends with that person because they want to take you down that road. I knew a lot of people like that. So could you speak to that?
Yeah, really, I think that's the perfect, naturally, the perfect segue from exactly what Amir said. And I think there's value in not only in relationships, but I also think there's some other powerful words about, where you're going with this. And I think it's discernment, it's alignment, but it's collaboration. So don't see one another as competitors. These are the people you're going to be building with. You all right now should be already exploring and sharing ideas. This is where the seeds are planted. This is where this stuff begins. This is where it begins. It all starts with an idea. And if you think you're the only one that has ideas, then you're already in a bad spot. So, and if you're afraid to share your ideas, that's not necessarily a good idea either. And the difficult thing, yes, is trusting each other. But that also takes time. And he and I don't necessarily have, trusting relationships with everybody we know. Not everybody we even call friends. There might be limits to that trust. Everybody we do business with, there may be limits to how much business or what kind of business. But to whatever degrees, there are things that you can build together. You're going to need one another. It's not about, I'm going to ask, Lamont for a hookup. I'm going to ask Amir for a hookup. I'm going to ask Barbara for a hookup. No, that's not it. The most valuable resource you have in this room is one another. This is where it starts. I can absolutely tell you I have friends that I've had relationships now, I'm like the OG, longer than y'all been alive. And there are things that are just now coming to fruition that were ideas that may have been started or thought of or considered or introduced 10, 20 years ago. Timing, opportunity, whatever. Follow up, follow through. Some things don't get executed for numerous reasons. And sometimes, you know what? The idea was then, but the time is now. But if the seed hadn't been planted 20 years ago, 15 years ago, it would take another 15 years from now, possibly, for it to finally start coming to fruition. What you waiting for? The time is now. Start doing it now. Because it's going to take time to do the work, to build relationships, to find the right collaborations, to identify resources, to get the experience or the training. That's what you're doing here. This is at least, a 2-year, 3-year, 4-year, 6-year, 12-year. However long the commitment is, I don't care. Finish.
Just finish.
Right? And during the process, maximize everything you can that's available to you in this community. And not just the campus community. All these incredible people around you. Again, like I talk about, these elders and these teachers and instructors and professors and chairs and deans and coaches or whatever. Maximize what those people have to give you. In my opinion, that's part of their job. But guess what? Y'all ain't babies no more. It's your responsibility to take the initiative. You can't help people who are not willing to help themselves. Don't come to me asking me for no favors if you don't have no skin in the game. You ain't trying to do no work. As a matter of fact, you asking me for something you're capable of doing for yourself. Matter of fact, not only that, you're capable of doing it with her or with him. Talk to him, talk to her, don't talk to me. And then after y'all talk to each other, then when you really need something and before you're in trouble, you come to me and say, hey, we've been talking. And we thought that you might be a good person to bounce this off of or to help facilitate this from us. Or we've done this much work, but we feel like we're not really sure where to go next, or we're not sure what needs to happen next, or there's a limitation to our experience, our knowledge, our access. Can you help us? If you've been doing some work, absolutely. I believe that that's exactly what our jobs are. As elders, as parents, as teachers, as educators, as facilitators, absolutely. Let me build that bridge for you. Let me crack that door. You got to kick the door in. As a matter of fact, when you walk in that door, don't make a fool. Like, boy, right? Anybody look at y'all like, don't you embarrass me, right? But that's not really about me as much as it is make sure whatever it is you're doing, you walk in there prepared. You walk in there with class. you walk in there with determination and do your best to seal the deal. Don't make a fool out of yourself or anyone else who's giving you access to that opportunity, because then we put our relationships at risk only for you to go in there and act a fool. Don't waste my time. But you're not expected to know everything, right? But you know more when you combine your knowledge, your brains, your brilliance, and all this beauty in this room, inside and out, together. Do it together. So that's what it's been for me. That's the lesson that I learned, just the same, is it's maximizing, what you have around you, what you have access to, who you have access to. And again, to Amir's point, it's not what people do, what they know, what they have that's often the biggest assets. It's who they are. Because what they do, where they'll do it, often changes. I know people that, again, imagine had she and I known each other in high school, I would know her as, my best friend's, crush. Like that was, what, who? You mean, yeah, ooh, yeah, I remember her. Little chocolate drop, yeah, she was she was cutie.
That's
and
me.
she was so smart, and she was just, yeah. And remember that Jollof rice she used to have all the time when her parents threw parties? Yeah, I mean, right? Like whatever it is, you'd have these different associations, but then over time, you're like, wait a minute, I thought she was doing such and such. Oh, you mean she switched over here? Oh, then maybe she went and got another degree. Now she's doing something else. People move all over the place. So what they do is not what's important. It's who they are, and it's not so much what they know, it's how they do what they know. That's what it is. What are your principles? What's your value system? What's your level of discipline? What's your level of again, class, sophistication, self-control, respect, and kindness for other people? We were talking in the car on the way up here, me and my young boys and what's Chris's name? Evans?
Yeah, Coach Chris.
Coach Chris, right? We're talking and we're like, there's so many people, like, I don't care who or what they are. If they trifling, I don't want to have nothing to do with them. I don't care how great they are with what they do. If they're raggedy, if they're not good people, they can't be trusted on a character level, I don't want to have nothing to do with you. I don't care what there is to profit, it's not worth the price. So you got to be really careful what things you agree to and why. And the most important thing is get to know each other right now. Put the work into who you are right now. Plant seeds for creativity and innovation and opportunity right now. But this is where the collaboration begins. And that has absolutely been a life-changing, thing for me. And like I said, I can speak to at least, I got a script that I just finished. The first time my partner wrote that script was 20 years ago. And we're like, you know what? Let's reimagine this thing. Let's take it from being a play and being this small student film, and now let's think about what it could be if we really ramped it up and gave it this whole nother cinematic value. And now that I got a little bit of a name for myself, I know how to make some good movies, and I have people I know enough people that I can get a movie made. And that has taken time. Right? I can find a director. I can find crew people. I can find hair, makeup, wardrobe. I can find investors. Right? But I couldn't have had that same conversation 20 years ago. I didn't have it. It wasn't in my knowledge bank. It wasn't in my relationship bank. You feel me? So that takes time, and you can't expect that stuff to happen overnight. But it's the quality of the people you have around you is what impacts the quality of the work that you're going to do throughout your life, for sure, 100%.
You said earlier, whether it takes you 4 years, 6 years, 12 years, stay the course and finish. You both went to college, you finished, and anyone sitting here could think, well, Phantom, you could have been an actor without going to college. You could have broken into the music industry without going to college. What guidance would you offer? Because this climate now, it is so easy to just think, I'm going to become a YouTube star, an Instagram star. I can make this money without going to school and pursuing this education. And that's enticement. A lot of money. I didn't have to put in the work of 4 years. what would you, what guidance would you give? Because this is the climate they are in with the Instagram, YouTube,
You itching.
all that.
I see him over there. He's
I
like,
ain't gonna say a lot. I'm gonna say a little. But I mean, when I hear that, and I'm gonna just say this bluntly, a lot of us get used to making mediocre decisions. Why? Because you're used to being in mediocre environments. Some of these mediocre environments include some family members, right? That's who you're getting advice from. Some of your mediocre environments include your best friend, that you're only best friends because both of y'all like to drink, both of y'all like to smoke. You don't have any value-adding similarities besides these things. You're in mediocre relationships. This person is making you feel bad for wanting to go on your internship this summer because they want you to stay in Hawkins with me. I need you. What about me? You're used to mediocrity, and so in turn you make mediocre decisions. So here's the thing that I always challenge you. I remember when I was in school, everybody after freshman year, or let's say second semester freshman year, was changing their major. Like, oh, nah, bro, I'm about to go major in physical education or something, right? They were supposed to be doctors, lawyers, but they made a mediocre decision because they were being challenged, because it was hard. It didn't coincide with the lifestyle that they wanted to live, which was turning up a lot, right? But you about to change your whole life so that you can turn up for 3 years. Even though you're going to have to live in this life for 50, 60 more years, you about to change the trajectory of your life just so you could turn up for 3 years. Mediocre decisions. So for me, a lot of that is, we let our laziness bully us. Like, your laziness continues to bully you. And it's going to happen even at our age. Like, we still have to force ourselves to get up, and just do things. But you have to learn the art of defeating your laziness, right? It's really an art. And so for me, I had to understand how to defeat what my laziness was. What made me lazy? What gave me the itis even though I hadn't eaten? Like, why do I have the itis and I haven't eaten? And it was just, I had to identify these things so that I can learn the art of powering through these things. I'll give you guys a good example, and I'm going to be quiet so Lamont can really do what he does to me all the time and drop some bombs. But last night, and so this is what I mean with when you start to prepare yourself, when you start to learn the art of working hard, right? Everything becomes attainable. Like, there's nothing that really challenges you to the point where you feel like you're going to be defeated. So last night, I had to do all this stuff, right? I drove from here to go I took Reed back to the airport, who spoke yesterday, to Love Field. And then my gracious sister, who also is the general manager for the big homecoming. Robbie, please stand up. Let them see your hair. She's got the Rihanna cut. Ella, A. But that's my big sister, but she's also the general manager and just a all-around beast at whatever she does, whether it's production or event planning or whatever. She's a perfect example of what I'm about to talk about. But last night, I dropped off Reed. She texts me and says, all right, I'm landing at Dallas Love Field at 8:30, but my bags are going to be at Dallas Fort Worth Airport. I'm like, what? How? This is one of the things, like, whatever. So she comes over to Dallas Fort Worth Airport. We get her bags in. I'm tired. I've been driving all day. I'm a late night, up all night type of person, unfortunately. So I didn't really get any sleep the night before. So we're driving, and I knew I needed to get some gas, but I forgot. So we just driving. I'm trying to drive to get back here so I can stay in Tyler. So we're driving, and I get on the 183, and all of a sudden that car said, I'm thinking like, dang, man, maybe the wind, the wind was blowing. And I was like, I know I ain't renting out no gas. And I'm in this big old truck, and that thing just, it took his last breath, and I knew, dang, I'm out of gas. So my sister looking at me like, you want me to call AAA? So we tried that didn't work. I'm like, all right, well, let me get an Uber. But keep in mind, we on the freeway. We not at a restaurant or at a business to tell them, just pick me up at the McDonald's. We're literally on the freeway, on the side of the road. So I tried to, call it. They called me, and I'm like, yeah, well, I'm on actually 183 on the freeway. They're like, so you want me to pick you up on the freeway? Nah, cancel. They kept canceling. So I realized that, okay, I need to now figure out how I can get to the other side, like where there's actual business, but I'm going to have to cross the freeway to do that. And I'm like, damn, I'm going to be on the Tyler News tonight. So anyway, I of course, I made sure it was safe. Jump one wall. Look, he like, boy, you stupid. And I jumped one wall.
I'm imagining you at your height.
Right.
Jumping over the median in the middle of the highway.
It looked like a Cops episode, like I was running from the police or something. So I jump over, look both ways, cross over, jump over another wall, scale down the side, and then call my Uber. So one person came, and keep in mind, I'm on the side of the road. It's 12 o'clock at night. I look sketchy. I got on black, and I'm black. Got on black, and I'm black. So I pulled up. The lady pulls up, and she's like, sir. So this is finally the third person. She's like, she was a black lady. So, she was very firm and stern. She's like, sir, I am the Uber driver, but are you sure? I need to know your name. I said, it's Amir. I said, your name is Maria. She said, yes. And I was like, look, I know this is sketchy. I ain't got no weapons, no drugs. I'm not a drug addict. I ran out of gas. I just need you to take me to the gas station. She said, pull up your shirt. Let me see your waistband to make sure I ain't had no guns. And so I got my stomach all out. I'm showing her everything.
She just wanted to see your belly button. That's all. She just wanted to see your belly button. She was the one to worry about. She might have been a little bit of crazy. She just wanted to see your belly button.
Man, she take me to the gas. She turned out to be a pure angel. She was her vibes were so good. Because, it was a rough night. Like, it was a rough night. I got my gas. She starts telling me that she wanted to go see her mom, who was really sick. She said, I don't know how long I got my mom, but I don't have enough money to get to, I think it was San Antonio. And I was like, oh, man, well, how much money are you talking about? She's like, I'm just trying to make $200 tonight. If I can make $200 by 8, I'll go. If not, I'll just try to go see her next week. Because I guess her mom is like in a care facility, and their visitation are like Monday through Wednesday, something like that. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to send you $200 so you can go home tonight and you can go see your mom more. So, of course, she's crying. So in that moment, though, I started thinking about the tools that you need to get to this point. And I started thinking about how, thank God to my parents, and just that they taught me how to just be calm. When you're in a stressful situation, just be calm, right? Like use more of your logic than your emotions, right? Because I could have got frustrated because I was already tired. It was a night where you could have just been like, man, forget this, man, throwing stuff. But I was calm the whole time. My sister was calm. She didn't say nothing to me. She was just on her laptop. I guess you got to go figure this out because I sure ain't getting out of this car. But point is we were built for those situations. We were built for it, right? And it's because we prepare for these situations too. I don't believe in telling myself I deserve, right? Because I feel like that kind of takes away my appreciation to a certain extent. So I'm still the dude who gets surprised by stuff like, whoa, I won a Grammy. Like, I can't believe this. And it's because I don't take anything for granted. So I stay in a grateful space all the time, and I'm always appreciative when I do get something. But I was prepared for that situation last night because I think about all the time, because if you think about this, life is inevitable to struggle. That's why it starts with an L to me, because you're going to have losses, right? And if you don't prepare for this is why you see people starting from the bottom. They're already on the ground. They're not putting anything spiritual in their system. They're not putting anything soulful in their system. They're not reading. They don't have good friends around them. They don't have all these different things. And then life's regular day-to-day struggles happen, and I'm depressed. I'm going to do some drugs. I'm going to, start drinking just to mask their pain. But I'm like, what are you putting in your system to prepare you for the struggle? And I think that's the part that's extremely important, is How are we preparing to struggle, which is inevitable? I'm telling you, you know it. Some of y'all got flat tires. Some of y'all have seen your parents go through things. You see this is going to happen. So what are you putting in your system to prepare for the inevitable struggle? So for me, it's spirituality, right? Of course, I love God. He's very strong to me. It's having great friends like Lamont in my life, being intentional about that, right? It's making sure that in my spare time, I'm not feeding into addictions and I'm just going to be on Instagram for 8 hours a day and feed my narcissism. You know, it's just being aware of those kind of things that are not complementing the strength that you need for this struggle of life that you have. So to summarize that, prepare for the struggle and do that by putting things in your system that are valuable to you, that you can use in stressful situations like I was in last night. I woke up smelling like gas this morning, but I survived.
That's profound, man. Yeah, I like that.
And really a great segue, because I wanted to talk about mental health. And I know that, Lamont, you have done some work in that space, and it's so important because, you know, historically in the Black community, we wouldn't talk about mental health. We would, you know, it was kind of, oh, you're going to see a therapist?
Right.
What? But now, so many individuals with platforms like yourselves are speaking out about that and talking about mental health openly, and it being really an accepted thing to seek help, and it's important. You know, and as Amir described, those struggles of running out of gas, and don't do that. There's no reason for that. Don't do that. Because if someone chases you, you can't get away. That's why I always have a full tank.
It happens.
It does. So don't run out of gas. But those things that are these things that just come up unexpected can really trigger things. I mean, really can be triggering. You know, I had a situation, my very first job, I didn't make any money. And there was a change in leadership, and I got so scared about, oh my God, am I not gonna have a job? I just got out of college. I gotta pay my student loans, all this stuff. And I went to the doctor because every day my stomach just started hurting. It didn't matter if I ate, it was just pain. And the doctor told me, I can put you on Nexium for as long as you need it, but she goes, it's up here. So how are you gonna work to address it up here? And it was the strangest thing, because after she said that, I said, I have to like grapple with this. If I lose this job because, I don't know, they fire all of us, I will be okay. And after that, that pain went away. I had to get a hold of emotions to say, I can't let things like cripple me and start impacting me where I'm like, you know, your body starts breaking down, you're not taking care of yourself. So I'm gonna turn it over to you to speak about the work that you've done. I saw that, I was on your Instagram, and I saw that there was an event coming up, looked like a panel on mental health.
Might be talking about our tour.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, in particular, you know, to speak of the tour she's speaking of, this particular tour focuses on the needs of Black men, Black and brown men, when it comes to these issues of mental health. This whole space, really, because it really is a space. And what we try to do is create this space of grace, this space that's a safe space where Black men, even though with men in general, and also, you know, women have their own dynamics of pride and ego or trauma, or, you know, the whole superwoman dynamic, right? You know, men have that as well. And there are many things, and it's not about comparing whose work is tougher or harder, or whose load is heavier than the other. It's really about what tools do we have to learn how to address these issues. What services are available that allow us the opportunity to identify what these issues are? Do we have the vocabulary and the terminology for what these feelings are, what these impulses are? And the work that I've done throughout my life, in particular with young people, and whether it's the fun work or the dangerous work, even as an actor, it's all about people's feelings. At some point, no matter how logical we are, the heart, our experience as human beings, as people, as human beings, situations, some that we can control, some that we can't, or that are a combination of the two, right? Where do we give ourselves the grace to forgive ourselves for forgetting to get gas and not beat ourselves up or call ourselves stupid? How do you talk to yourself? It's not even about how other people talk to you or talk about you. What's most important is how you talk to yourself. So to Amir's point, when something like that happens, are you beating yourself up? Are you in your own way of being able to respond to adversity because you've got something in you that's in the way of you thinking or believing that you're even capable of responding to this moment of adversity? And what often happens is when we don't respond with the right tools or with the right calm or with the right approach, the right information, the right sensibilities, often what happens? Those consequences start compounding, don't they? And we're getting in a deeper and deeper and deeper hole, and these things are harder and harder to respond to. Maybe we're getting more and more frustrated, more and more afraid. It's 12 o'clock midnight. I'm out here by myself. This is Texas. Man, my sister's in the car. So by the time this woman rolls up talking about lift your waistband up, how many other people would have been aggressive about that conversation, would have been very defensive or insulted? Oh, just because you see a black man out here, you think, right? What if it wasn't a black woman and it was someone else that wasn't the same complexion of you? How would you have interpreted what she said? Even if it was said the exact same way, but based on your own issues, you'd interpret what was said to you, and it triggers you in a way that now we've got a situation that escalates and responds, and like he says, before you know it, you're both on the news for the wrong reason? Nah. So a lot of things often that happen to us are things that we do have some power in. And there are a lot of things that we've got to learn what that level of powerlessness actually is. And I actually think there's power in understanding your powerlessness. There's power in understanding what you got to let go, what you got to release, what you got to even forgive other people for. That doesn't mean you let them off the hook. I've also learned to look at things as not happening to me. I'm not a victim. This is just a test. And this is happening for me, to show me and to allow me the opportunity to figure out what I'm made of in this moment and moments like this. So now, so often, when I walk into a space, I look like I'm arrogant. I probably am. But it's because I've been smacked in the face enough times to be reminded. I can't say what I was about to say. Nah, it's Jarvis Christian University. I was about to come out my mouth the wrong way. But my point is, you have many a moment where you are humbled. But it's the humility that gives me confidence. Does that make sense? It's my experience in having worked through adversity that puts me in a position where I can walk with my chin higher, my shoulders down, back, my back strong, mouth shut. When I do open my mouth, I make sure that I've made a commitment to my own discipline, my own relationship with the power and the purity of my tongue, to be impeccable with my word. Not only how I speak to people, but how I speak to a situation and how I speak to myself. And these are all things that we all have an understanding of. We all have the skills, but how much do we practice them? How much do we have support in knowing where they are, how to identify them, and how to apply them, and who's listening? There's so many men that don't feel like anybody's listening. We don't feel like anybody cares. Shut up. Where's my check? Keep the lights on. Be here. Do this. Take out the trash. Fix the car. Put it down in the bedroom. Whatever it is, don't nobody care about your feelings. Even as men, other men are like, what? What you complaining about, dog? Man up, man. Shut up. You sound like a punk. If a man complains about his feelings in a relationship, he's never, unfortunately, as validated as much of a woman is when she talks about hers. Let a man go on Oprah talking about, I cheated on her because she wasn't attentive to me. But you know how many women have said the exact same thing? Oh, well, that makes sense. You should have found yourself another man if he wasn't attentive to you. Look, y'all laughing now because you're like, yeah, you're right. So unfortunately, my point is there is a history and a cycle of conditioning, of socialization that diminishes the feelings and emotions and the vulnerability of men and males. And it happens many times from when we're little boys. And it's such an unhealthy pattern that by the time men are even as early as teens, we see it. Won't you see the destructive behavior sometimes in a lot of young people, a lot of boys? Where do you think that's coming from? Most of the time it's fear, and it's the lack of information and the lack of tools to know how to manage how we feel. And I thank God for the arts, and this is why the arts need to be a part of every school, every curriculum, every content area, because part of what the arts does and facilitates is not only how we process information, but how we process how we feel about the information. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Right? Critical thinking is not what did somebody tell you what to say. No, it's how do you feel about what they said and about what you read. Ideas and what's interesting and what's going to make you successful in life are your ideas, not the ideas of someone else. Stop dressing like everybody else. Stop talking like everybody else. Stop posting and liking and doing what other people are doing. What's going to be your competitive advantage is you, is the authenticity of you. And you will never get on the right page until you know who you are. What makes you tick, what scares you to death, what you're afraid of, where you thrive, all of those things. So that's part, not only what this tour is about, but for me, that's life's work. All the other stuff is filler. It's the icing on the cake. It ain't the cake. It's curtains. Y'all better build a strong foundation under your house. I could care less what kind of car is in the driveway. I walk in your house, it stinks. Your house is ugly, it's filthy. It's full of pain, you don't clean. You're not doing the work in here. That's the work we gotta do. That's what makes a difference. And on top of that is where all the other stuff comes. When you do that work, man, everything else is free. As an athlete, I get paid to practice. The game is free. I earn my check in practice, in the weight room, in film. You understand what I'm saying? Y'all see me in a movie, you only see 2 hours. You have any idea how much work that takes? 2 hours? That's a nap. 2 hours? There are countless hours of work, of preparation, hard, sometimes painful, and especially as an actor. And I could even say it because, again, I'm a singer, I'm a dancer, all of this. Like the real work, when you really interpret material in here, ooh, it takes you to some places emotionally and spiritually that are, it forces you to do some serious personal work. Serious personal work. And that ends up being what people often run away from. But again, why run away from the opportunity? I believe the sooner you get to it, the sooner you get through it. So that's what I encourage all of you to do, male or female, black or anything else. Again, just because this is for black men, just because it's pro-black man don't mean it's anti anything else. We're just doing the work together for ourselves so that, again, not only we can show up better for ourselves, but that we can also be more present for everyone else, right? We know that there's power, there's strength in vulnerability. We say we're the lion and the lamb. I like to say I'm a tiger and a teddy bear too. If I'm only teaching my little girls and my little boys I'm teaching the little girls to be princesses and the boys to be cowboys, where has that gotten us? Seriously? You understand what I'm saying? And then when the boy acts like a princess and the girl acts like a cowboy, we got a problem with that too. When especially as children, It's okay for little girls to be tomboys, but the little boys can never go through their sissy stage. You see where I'm going? These double standards, this really imbalanced, unhealthy conditioning of ourselves and of one another is getting us to places that is actually costing us more than it's gaining us. And this work has to be done. It has absolutely changed my life. It stopped me from putting my hand around people's necks before. It stopped me from doing things that are self-destructive before. But more importantly, it's helped me have an understanding so that I can serve and facilitate the journey of self-discovery and healing for other people as well as myself. And that word, that healing and the process of getting to that healing and understanding what your mess is, everybody got their mess. We got any Greenleaf fans in here? Talk about some mess, right? And the value of that show and that experience for me was pulling back the veil on this family and this lifestyle and even this industry of the church. Woo, there was so many people. I was even scared. I was like, uh-oh, we messing with the church. I was like, uh-oh. And instead of being afraid, we were courageous. Instead of going in it unprepared, we were prepared. Not so much for the trouble, we were prepared to do the work and to make sure we did the work with principle, with love, with value of the kingdom of God, and making sure that we weren't afraid to tell the truth. And you know what? Instead of getting beat up like some people thought we were going to be, instead everybody was like, thank God somebody finally had the courage to tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell your truth. Tell the truth about other things, about other people, but tell your truth. You have got to get to it. It is going to kill you. And it might even put you in a position where you be ready to kill somebody else. And I don't only mean that physically, the damage that people do to one another, because hurt people, that's the cycle we got to get out of. And that's really what Greenleaf was about. This generational cycle of self-destruction and abuse and lies and people keeping up appearances, all this stuff, it was killing the family every generation. Jacob's in an abusive marriage, so you're surprised that his daughter gets in an abusive relationship? But most people can't see their mess and that they're setting an example for what the child is experiencing, right? So it's really finding the resources that are near you. We've got campus counseling center resources. Please, if you here, say hi. And if you don't know where those resources are, find them. And if they're not here, please find somebody, to serve these students and serve this community. I've been on too many campuses where there have been series of suicides. I'll never forget, it was a running joke, unfortunately. This is how bad it was. When I was at Carnegie Mellon, you literally could be in class, you could look out the window, there were chalk lines on the roof or on the fire escape. It was a joke. It got so bad to where it has become a campus joke how many people commit suicide. Now, this is supposed to be one of the, right? You hear some of the names of these schools, Carnegie Mellon, and, we always had this thing with MIT, always talking trash with MIT, right? We used to be like, that's all right, that's okay, you're going to work for us someday. We had cheers, we was like, it was, right? But then all these schools, all these names that people want to have across their chest, at what expense if all you're going to do is jump out the window? So what's really important? What are we reaching for? What are we trying to gain? What are we trying to accomplish? We're trying to get all this stuff. It's just stuff. It's stuff. Meaningless stuff. Status, attention, whatever, like materialism. And we're not doing the work. What is the point? So we are losing too many of us, too many young people, in particular too many young people of color. So even if Amir stole that car, that's suicide. Not because he gets out the car to run and gets hit by a truck. Because to me, even the decision to do something that foolish, when people do that, they're already making the decision to give up their lives or put themselves in danger for what? It's suicide. Indirectly, it's suicide. whether it's slow suicide or a fast one. And some of y'all, we're losing you at even more rapid rates than that. Half the songs that are out are drugs everywhere. The first words of the song start out talking about some drugs. It's so normalized. We got people walking around shooting people in the street like it's nothing. You might as well be playing a video game. It's just this desensitization to the human spirit, to the God spirit within all of us. We're getting out of touch with the work we really need to be doing. So even when it comes to this school, yes, we need you to perform and achieve at a high level, but if you're not doing the internal work at the same time, what's the point? There's a lot more work to be done than just on the pages, all right? So that's what I believe is the source. So even back to your early question, in my process of self-discovery, all this stuff that I realize I'm doing, that I want to do, or that I'm blessed to do, and Amir's talking about this sense of purpose, I realize, oh, my job is to help God save people's lives. And whatever ways I can do it, it's about taking the gifts, and they're called gifts for a reason, they're free. They're free to receive, but they're not free to keep. My responsibility, everybody's responsibility, I believe, when you identify what the gift is, which is work itself, right? Identify what your gifts, they're plural, by the way. You got more than one, okay? The work then is nurturing this gift, being obedient to God to turn this gift into the right tool so that it manifests itself in the betterment of humankind in whatever little way it does and can. And it's not just little ways, it's big ways. But we gotta make the commitment, do the work. But guess what? That's hard to do if you're not well. Right? Who heals the healer? Who teaches the teacher? So you need love, you need support, you need tools, you need rest. You need restoration. You need healing. You need counseling. All right? So before something becomes a problem, have your counselor. As soon as you get a job or as soon as you get a car, what do most people do? Maybe get AAA, maybe. Some people don't even do that. But you typically are like, well, if I'm going to have problems, let me make sure I have a mechanic or somebody to help. But we don't do that with our own bodies. We take better care of our cars sometimes, ironically, than we even do of our bodies. Why would you do that? Right? So that self-care is absolutely important. Everyone should make an investment to their own self-care just as much as you're making an investment to be that beautiful soul of love and support and collaboration and cooperation and passion and purpose and all this stuff we're talking about. This servant attitude should absolutely be there, but you've got to balance that with service to yourself and making sure that you take care of yourself and you understand that you're valuable, you're worthy, you're important, you're significant, and you're needed, and you're not an accident, even if you were unplanned. I know it has been proven that scientifically, there are more people that should have been born that weren't born than those of us that actually were born. So the probability of your existence is so small for you to be here and waste your time and to completely trick off God's privilege to you is beyond disrespectful. And let me also say that I'll leave with this, even though it's a little morbid. We in Texas, y'all. And all these brown faces I see in here, even those of y'all who aren't, y'all would be the black people lovers and be in just as much trouble. This was against the law. We would walk out of this room and likely be lynched, burned, shot, castrated, raped. Am I wrong? So here we are, together, having earned that because lives were sacrificed so we could even have the opportunity to have access to being able to read. Just access, let alone being able to afford it and then do it safely. Stop disrespecting the souls who were sacrificed for us to be here in this moment. You are the prayers of so many people before you. People were imagining us. Imagining us. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine 4 or 5 generations from now? I hope you can, because that's the work you should be doing to ensure that those dreams come true. We are those dreams in the flesh and blood. We got work to do. And it starts right here. You got this incredible university, this beautiful campus. And ain't but 1,000 of y'all. Y'all should be running things. Y'all should be running this state. I bet you there's 1,000 people somewhere else in a school 10 times this size that ain't doing jack. You have an opportunity. You're not too small. You're just right. Get it done right here, man. Do it together. But do it right here. Just as much as you lock arms and hold hands, do it right here. You got to do it. God's going to show up. God has shown up, and God will continue to show up. Excuse me, but you got to meet God at least halfway. But please, make the commitment to your own healing. It's going to change everything you touch and everything that comes your way. Okay? I mean it. It's it's the God's honest truth. And not because I said so. All right? I've seen it happen. This has been very much connected to much of my life's work. This tour that we're doing right now, it's called Just Heal Bro, by the way. So you can follow us at Just Heal Bro, all right, across all platforms. And it's justheal.co. And then I believe sometime, either by the end of the year or next year, we're going to focus on our women of color. And then this work, again, I've done in many other places and many other forms where it's beyond just our African-American community and men and women and girls and boys. But we got a lot of work to do. There's a lot of stuff to deal with. We have a very intense and very complex relationship with this country in particular, right? I ain't going no damn where. I don't know about y'all. But I'm sorry. We built this, okay? I ain't going nowhere. Like I said, too much blood is spilled. These trees got way too many stories to tell for us to go anywhere. This belongs to us just as much as it belongs to anybody else, all right? So do the work so that not so much that you get what you deserve, but you are able to manifest through your work what our ancestors have sacrificed us the opportunity to have access for and to, right? It's yours if you want it, all right? No matter who gets in the way, I don't care. People can try to get in my way all they want. They're not stopping me. You can't stop me. You can try, you know? So you ain't even got to like me. And my thing is, you ain't got to like me. You ain't got to like us. Just get the hell out my way, right? And even if you want to get in my way, watch me work. Watch me work. I'm going to get what I need. I'm going to do what I need to do anyway. But guess what? I can't do it by myself. And neither can you, and neither should you. So we're here together. Let's do it together. Lock arms, share ideas, build, trust each other, love each other. Get out of your own way, get out of each other's way, right? And everybody that loves you may not look like you, and vice versa. And that's what all this, God's power is all about, love and making things happen, all right, for the glory of everything that's bigger than us. So, but it starts right here, all right? You got to be in here, all right, and you got to be in the game to win the game, man. So stay in the game.
Are y'all receiving this? So many good nuggets in there. Thank you so much. We have time for a couple of questions. Does anyone have a question?
Sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. I just
Yes.
went on for like 20 minutes. Come on, use your projector. Well, where'd the other mic go? All right, come. You can stand up. Are you? This isn't a huge space. You feel comfortable projecting? All right. Your name? What's your name? Oh, Shauna Daniels. Okay, Shauna. Hi. Okay, nice to meet you, Shauna.
You were talking about mental health and how men aren't able to like express themselves, how like women can.
Thank you.
So I was wondering, because you know you're like 51.
Right, been doing the math. You're right. No, you're right. That's it. Somebody looked up on the internet, so maybe you can tell.
Oh, yeah.
You can tell who did their internet research.
Wikipedia right there.
So you're a part of the older generation. I know it was harder for the older generation.
Wow.
I know it was harder for the older generation to actually be able to start expressing themselves, and especially how we are as like our generation, we're so into like
So into your feelings.
so into like. So what had caused you like what do you think happened to where you were like, man, I need to start being more myself. I need to start expressing myself to people around me, and yeah, just being you and being able to talk about how you feel about situations, and just coming here and like expressing to us like you should do that, like how we do. That makes sense.
I think I know where you're going. So, Shauna, right? So, thank you, Shauna. Let's give Shauna a hand. So I think what actually happened, so for lack of a better way to put it, the reason why so if you see what I'm trying to do chronologically here, the level of self-expression that you all are at now is a progression, right? So the level of expression that you all are at now is not foreign to me, and it might be a step further than I was at your age, but it is where it is because of where we were before you, right? And I was able to get to the place of whatever was becoming more normal, and similarly what we were fighting for, right, and pushing for, and what we were asking for and trying to change, because before me, it was a little bit more different than that. So over time, this is how all of this is evolving, right? The language changes. There's research. Again, we're talking about the arts and things that happen in the world and, right, different events that happen. So there's no one singular event for me per se, but I can think of a couple things that where there were some shifts. I remember the first time I saw my father cry. And that shouldn't be weird, and it wasn't really weird, but because it was the first time I witnessed it, I remember. I don't remember the first time I saw my mother cry. Right? So why is that so weird? To some degree, because it caught me off guard, because I think we were watching a movie. Right? And it wasn't that it was something romantic or sad or something like that. It was actually, from what I recall, it was something spiritual that was happening in the movie, and it hit my father in such a place. You understand what I'm saying? But my father's also a musician. I've seen my father cry while he's drumming. You know what I'm saying? So that wasn't the first time I ever saw tears from a male, but it was the first time I saw tears from a male, and in particular, the man in my life and in my home and in my family that wasn't out of pain or sorrow, or even though there was joy in it, that's different than like, oh, my newborn baby, He probably did that, but I was too young to remember. So my point is, I thank my father for continuing to be that man and to show me his feelings and to show his heart, but his father wasn't like that at all. My father was raised by his grandfather. Okay? So these are all progressions, and I think that this is all healthy, that we're, again, like I said, finding this information, finding this knowledge, having this courage. At the same time, every generation has its opinions of the other generations. There's some of us that talk about these young men now, be like, oh, man, they so soft. That doesn't necessarily mean that's an insult, it's an observation. And part of what we're saying is, yeah, they're much more into their feelings or even aware of their feelings than we were. To some degree, it's a compliment. But there are also times where we're like, we're worried about the balance of being in touch with their feelings, but also being able to get things done. Being sensitive boys, but also being able to be present, responsible young boys, young men, right? Thinking straight, as well as acknowledging what's going on in your body and in your feelings and in your heart. And the same thing goes for y'all. All right? The other thing that's also this misleading that's connected to this is people learning and acknowledging, even from a physiological perspective, that we are all male and female. All right? Genetically, we all start out female. all right? Before the chromosome changes, boys are females before they become male. So even from the very beginning, the default, okay? And then over time, what makes me a real man is me acknowledging and understanding and embracing and uplifting, not speaking down to the feminine qualities within me. And that doesn't mean that the feminine qualities are the soft qualities. Feminine means just as much strong and bold and confident and brash and ruthless, whatever you want to say. There's nothing wrong with that. That's feminine too, right? It doesn't make you a man because you're those things. So when somebody says, oh, you acting like a dude, no. Or even if you are, you're acting like a woman, maybe whose male traits within her are showing up. That's what makes you a full human being. There's nothing wrong with that. What we all got to learn is when and how all of these different, I call them superpowers, are within us and how the best way to apply them, understand them, and make them work for us, right? So they're not in our way, okay? So there were a variety of different things. I mean, like I said, experience in the arts. When I read a play and something's touching me, I'll never forget. I was we're kind of in the theater, so like we got these superstitions in the theater. So I'll say the Scottish play. Anybody understand what the Scottish play is by Shakespeare? Okay, all right, Macbeth. Okay, I know everybody's like, but so the superstition is you're not supposed to say the name in a theater. You're still supposed to say the Scottish play. But I was doing Macbeth, and I was Macduff, right? Who's the hero and who eventually, avenges the king, and and all that, and has this big duel and thing at the end of Macbeth. During the play, Macduff's family gets slaughtered. Okay, I'm in 11th grade, I think, and I'm doing this. In the middle of, I think it was rehearsal. In the middle of rehearsal, I'm in that scene and I start to do my monologue and literally I almost fall on my face from the emotion. And I fall to my knees and I start bawling. But because I have the training and the discipline to stay in character, I stay in it, but I remember the moment of having this rush of emotion. Now, I'm in 11th grade. I'm 15. I don't know nothing about having nobody's kids. I don't know nothing about being married to anybody. I don't know anything about being the general in the king's army and having my family slaughtered, but somehow, somewhere, some way, I found this place, this connection to the reality of the emotion of this moment, and it came rushing out of me. And I remember after the scene was over, everybody was like, oh my God. So of course, as an actor, you're like, oh my, I gotta do that again, right? Not so much because of the attention, although the ego loves that too, but it's really about, again, discovery. It's like, oh my God. So my point in bringing that up is there are moments like that as well where I understood like, wow, the power of truth, emotional truth. You know what I'm saying? The power of, oh my God, imagine what that must have actually been like for that man at that time in that actual situation. I just experienced it, all right? I've been violated on stage. I've been beat up. I've raped somebody. I've been raped. I'm telling you, you're going to go through some stuff. It's bananas. I'm so serious. So luckily, through some of those experiences, I've had the privilege, as distorted as that sounds, to experience emotions and pain and trauma, as well as not just trial and tribulation, but joy and jubilation in so many ways, at so many heights and extremes, that it gives you a different kind of understanding of what people are feeling and what they may be going through at any given time, any given day. And I think we just have so much more of that information now that we're starting to understand it and embrace it because we've also seen all the consequences that we've suffered as a species when we've suppressed that. So we're trying to support that so that we can take better care of ourselves, like I said, better care of each other, and hopefully stop some of the cycles and some of the damage that's been done because we've been repressing, the truth of our emotions and our feelings and our joy and our love and our pain and trial and tribulation and joy and jubilation, So, but it's a progression over time. Things have gotten ideally better and better and better from an expressive standpoint, but the unfortunate thing is what hasn't met that progression in expression is the progression of provision and services and support, okay? So we know that, we're starting to understand that that's normal, but now where are we showing up to protect people and to give them the support and the counseling and the, advice and mentorship or whatever that they need, And we're seeing it through the progression of war. We're seeing it through the progression of poverty. We're seeing it through the progression of, all kinds of other things. Racial tension, sexuality dynamics and gender identity, all these things that are economics, right? All right, the economy, all these things that are pushing people further and further to these emotional places, and we don't have the services and the provisions and the information to support people when they're getting to these places of trouble or trigger, So it's great in many ways, but we got a lot of work to do to make sure we don't get ourselves in, we're already in trouble, but we can fix it. We can, we can keep the train on track without us destroying each other entirely or destroying the whole planet before you know it. But so does that answer your question? So I've had numerous events in my life, but those are two significant ones where I can remember something happening to me and I didn't understand what was happening. And instead of being afraid and repressing it, I allowed it to happen, and it's completely changed how I process when emotions are happening to me, and it's absolutely helped me keep my vessel open to emotional truth and emotional response as an actor. So you probably see me cry in movies and stuff. I don't even care now. Snot coming out my nose or whatever, I don't know. Looking all, he cried, he ugly when he cried. I used to think he was almost handsome. He ugly when he cried. Y'all all ugly when you cry. Don't nobody cry cute. Right? So, but you know what I mean? It's like getting over yourself. Like, get over yourself. You know what I mean? Not being all like, so that's, but those are definitely things that help, that help. And, however that helps anybody. But that's what I can speak to. And I think that's happened a lot more throughout, society. So I commend our boys. So let's give our young men a hand with being courageous enough to continue to be open and honest about their feelings. Young ladies, we need your support in that, please, all right? And men, again, some of y'all, again, boys, young men, whatever, support each other in that as well. Tell each other you love each other. You don't have to preface it with no homo, like nothing wrong with, hugging each other. I kiss all the young boys in my life. Did I kiss you today, Curtis? Where you at? I didn't give you a kiss today, did I? All right, it's coming. All right. But, so my point is, like, there's a way to do that. I mean, Amir and I, we hug, we spend time. His son is like, his nephew, godson. That's my, it's my, like, I'm all over that boy. He belongs to me too. I kiss Ravi, I kiss his sister, I kiss his mama. I probably kissed your dad before, I kissed my dad. No, I'm serious, right? Like this picture that was was that the Times cover with Mike and was it Jonathan from Creed? This picture for some reason was so weird and so uncomfortable for so many people to see two men just touching each other, period. Let alone were their faces too close? Is it that he had his arms around the other cat's shoulders? Like, oh, you can do that as long as it's only for a quick second? I mean, I've seen men do that. Oh, but that's right. It was in a game, and because he hit the game-winning shot, and you jumped on him, for a quick second because he hit the buzzer beater, that's okay. But God forbid, it's just a photo shoot, and you want to go behind your boy and wrap your arms around his neck, and y'all take a picture. Oh, that's gay? And so what? And even if it is, right? But even still, the fact that for some reason that's not masculine, that's a problem. So we're still there. This ain't an old head OG 51, 81, 1950s, 1850s thing. I'm serious. It's still here. It's still a problem. It's still a perception. Okay? So we're still doing that work. That work really hasn't gone anywhere. We're still dealing with it, you know? And it's unfortunate, but it also doesn't surprise me because this isn't just an American thing. All right? There are many cultures across the planet who are struggling with these same dynamics. In some places, it's even the law. But the funny thing is, there are many countries that I've been to where the men or the boys even hold hands. And that's fine. The men kiss each other on the lips, right? Oh, but God forbid you're actually in a relationship, or God forbid you do something else. So it's all a matter of perception and socialization a lot of times, right? You understand what I'm saying? So it's odd, you know, but this is still work that a lot of people, a lot of human beings are still working through and still working on. So stay with it, y'all. You know, continue to do the work, continue to support each other through these processes because they're important. Oh, look, I'm picking. I'm like, okay, yeah, like I'm the moderator. My bad.
We probably can only do one more question.
Oh, yeah, we getting kicked out. I'm sorry.
Fireside chat all day. I mean,
Yeah,
this is really an insightful,
I'm sorry.
impactful conversation.
I don't want to mess the
So
schedule up. Look, we be in here all day. We got time. I'm good if we got time, but I don't mess up the schedule, you know. Take that one, man. You ain't gonna have me answer all the questions, man. You're gonna fall asleep if I do all the talking.
I'll just say, man, one of the greatest things you could do is what we've been talking about already is put a lot of work into your soul, right? Because the creativity is one thing, and there's a lot of creative, talented people out there. And I don't know if you want that to be really the competition you're in, is who's more creative and who's. I think, like I said, putting emphasis into your soul adds value. And an example of that is one thing you got to do is control your ego. One thing I'd say about your generation is, boy, y'all egos is on a whole nother level. And it's because of things like social media, right? You posting things and everybody's telling you, I like that. You're beautiful. Oh, my God, you slayed that. Your eyes are on fleeky. I mean, your eyebrows are on fleek. And you know, which is right. Some of it I think is good.
And the eyebrows ain't even theirs.
No, it's not even theirs.
Or the eyelashes. Eyelashes look like hands on it.
Like, girl, where you about to go fly to?
She can't even see.
Right. But I got my eyelashes on fleek.
She got feet on her face.
We about to go fly somewhere for real. I'm like, dang. All right, but. You know, that social media part boosts your egos up. And so it's funny because I meet students who, you know, my following, I got 10,000 followers and 100,000 followers, and, you know, it's seniors in college. And I'm thinking about one particular person, and then you get out of college, and a lot of the stuff that matters now does not matter when you come sit down with people like me and Lamont. I really don't care that you're an AKA. What they got to do with me? Can you create some meaningful product to me that's going to be valuable to me? Like, just because you're AKA is not going to help me with anything. Congratulations to y'all, but what does that do anything? And so my point is, you know, put things into your soul that are going to add value and going to add value to your ego too. Because the ego is not always a bad thing to have. Because my ego keeps me, you know, in winning situations. It also tells me when I need to chill out, when I need to not say that, when I need to don't do that. So the ego is good sometimes, but at the same time, it's good to control it too, because you could be feeling yourself a little too soon and miss out on some opportunities because you came off a little too arrogant or too egotistical for the situation. So I'd say control your ego. That's one. And what else would I tell you, man? you better put on some good running shoes and be cool with being tired, and because this thing is a marathon, boy. It is not a fast paced run. Yeah, man, you gotta be ready for this endurance, and you gotta be ready to be courageous with your creativity too. You know, you can't just get in this game just to say that you made a movie or made some music. Like, come in here ready to be more than successful. Come in here being ready to be significant. You know, like, don't come here just to be successful. Come in here to be significant and change the game and really add value to this industry, spaces that where we may not have that kind of value or that caliber of value. So those are a few things I'd tell you. I'll let Lamont definitely.
Yeah, I
chime in.
mean, I hate to be redundant, but I'm gonna just say on top of that, it's tell the truth. Talk about what you know. Stop fronting. Don't try to be something that everybody else was doing. Be honest about your story. And one of the things when I coach, because again I coach artists, singers, actors, poets, on-air personalities, you know, clergy, whatever, and the primary principle is always the same. My major message is find your voice. Find your voice. You can sing, but what are you saying? And not only what are you saying, why? Why are you saying it? And just because you're black don't mean it has to be R&B. Who said? I know black folks who are Buddhist. All right? Because the truth of their spirit is that's how God speaks to them. That's how God works for them. That's the right mechanism for them and when it comes to their relationship with the higher power. You understand what I'm saying? So I think there's a way to intentionally think out of the box, but not try to be so outside the box that you're just being outside the box on purpose for no reason and no real sincere motivation or foundation to what you're doing. Does that make sense? But if you're naturally out of the box, people are probably going to look at you funny. So what? If that's your truth, if that's what's work, if you mean what you say, continue to mean what you say. All right? Now, if you want to play the game to say, well, I ain't making no money, then do something else for a living, but continue to be truthful to how God is speaking to your creative spirit, right? And if you believe that you don't want to do anything else and that you're putting all your eggs in that basket, you're just going to have to be patient because it might take a while for you to find, as we said, the right, trusted, sincere relationships and collaborations to help you make, right, that voice heard on a louder level. But trust me, even if ain't nobody listening, I'm still going to tell the truth. Even if nobody's watching, I'm still going to do what's right. That's the lesson. Do what's right even if nobody's looking, right? Speak the truth even if you don't think anybody's listening. Because at some point, either they will, or at some point, I believe the universe says, you know what? Let me help you with that. You've demonstrated and you've proven to me that you're committed to telling the truth. I'm going to help make some things happen for you because I need you. When I realized that none of this stuff was really about me, that's when the provision started coming. Because like to Amir's point, get your ego out of the way. It ain't even about you. So this is a weird kind of juxtaposition, right? It's like, but you just said, find my voice and, have a relationship with myself and know me. Yeah, but it's for a higher purpose than you. It's bigger than you. Okay? If your dream only includes you, it ain't big enough. If your dream only includes you, to me, is only an idea. Dreams come from God. If you got a goal, you got an ambition, that's one thing, but dreams? I think we use that word in a way that really doesn't cover the real power and expanse of that. If it's a dream, it's going to include and take more than just you. It's going to take the higher powers, guidance and protection and provision, and it's also going to take how God's working through other people to build something and do something profound. But you got to trust yourself, trust your voice. You tell the truth. Tell the stories that you know. Write the stories that you know. Stop lying. Don't be a liar. Tell the truth and you'll be fine. I'm serious. I'm telling you. Tell the truth. Be yourself. That's what gets you over the hump. It might take a while. It's going to take a while. Even when you imitate other people, it's going to take a while. But I'd rather be telling the truth and get there than be a fake, a phony, and a liar, right? And get there. You're not going to be happy once you get there because you know you lied. I don't care how much money you got. We know a whole bunch of unhappy people that got everything you all have ever imagined. Oh, they so sad. They so super successful. They in a house bigger than this building, and this is what the walls look like. Ain't no light coming in there. They got to build up big trees and fences. They did all this to make all this money to lock themselves inside. Right? You know what I'm saying? And then they in there, they do this concert. I think we talked this a little bit in the car. You do this concert, you play this game, or again, you're a successful businessman, businesswoman, millions of dollars, all these titles, all this stuff, and then you go home to loneliness, even if there's people in the house with you. But you're unhappy, you're lonely, you're unfulfilled, you're spiritually disconnected from your own truth and your own happiness because you don't have the courage to do what you're really supposed to be doing, which might not be as lucrative, but that's where your real joy and success is actually going to reside. You feel me?
Yes, please join me in thanking Lamont and Amir for such an insightful, impactful, and thought-provoking fireside chat. It was wonderful.
I was looking for the fire because it's chilly in here. Like, we need next time, can we have like a little mini bonfire? Some marshmallows.
S'mores.
S'mores, yeah. I'll take the Hershey's with almonds, and the flat marshmallows, not the. You seen the little the thick flat ones now they got? You seen those? Those are good too. I'll eat those straight out the bag. But we could go outside. We in the country. We could go get some sticks, some branches, and stick them in the. Yeah.
We'll do that next time.
Yeah, we got to do that.
Dr. Newman.
Because
I know this is a crazy request, but
you got some?
He like a fire pit on the stage next time for the fireside chat.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Let's
it'd probably be against the fire code. We probably get the fire department would shut that down in a minute. But
I want us to thank our moderator and
please.
Host here, Miss Barbara. Thank you. Let's give it up for Dr. Lamont Rucker again, please. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you. I love you, man. And let's give it up for yourselves for being here and being great. Let's give it up for Wells Fargo for putting it up. And give it up for your administration for having the creativity and the courage to say yes to different things.
Matter of fact, turn around and say thank you. Okay.
To all your administrators. We appreciate you guys being here. We'll be outside to finish up our day, fellowship, pass some things out. I did have 2 scholarships I wanted to put before you guys, and I've been coming up with this like criteria on the fly, just making up stuff like.
You should have consulted me. I'd have made it real hard.
I know. Well, I'm consulting you right now.
Okay. So go ahead. Tell me what you got.
Yeah. So Lamont, you
6.2 QPA.
QPA, not GPA.
QPA.
QPA.
Right.
But this is what we're gonna do in a effort of creativity and purpose. So we'll give away, let's say 3 scholarships. Again, I'm making this just go on the fly. You go on the bighomecoming.com/Jarvis. Similar, yes, sir. She said it don't work, but somebody else. Okay, no, it works, but hold on. It's just check back in a couple of seconds for real, because we'll do it. But just do this by tomorrow, okay? bighomecoming.com/Jarvis. And what I think I'd love to see, what we're going to decide who's going to win these scholarships, is who I want a video. I'm thinking I want to know more about the leader that you hope you grow to become for the world. So I want to like know about like what that looks like to you. And I'm talking about the depth of how you control your ego, just some of the things that we talked about here. Lamont talking about just how important identity is. Just everything we talked about today. I would love to see you put that in a form to reflect it on yourself, where it kind of becomes your creed of who you plan to become. So as you veer off, as we all do sometimes, you can have that creed right in front of you to remind you, this is who I am, and this is who I'm not. So you can help continue to figure out who you are not, so that you can know who you are, as Lamont has been talking about all day. Yeah. So let's do that. Again, we'll make sure that the link is fixed for those who have. I'm gonna blame it on y'all with those bootleg phones, because it's not our website. I'm joking. We'll take this our website. But first and lastly, I want to say I really appreciate everybody for just your openness to allow us to get inside your minds, your souls. And again, we really appreciate everybody for coming out and just being a part of this first of many things that we're going to do together and collectively. And thank you again, Barbara and Wells Fargo, for what you do. And Dr. Rucker, one more thing. You got something? No, go ahead. Go ahead, brother.
Oh, you getting ready to come up and take us to the next? Oh, okay. That's important.
So let's give a hand to Amir Wendell.
Okay, that's what I was going to say.
So he thanked everyone in the room, but he didn't mention himself, so thank you very much. And then after Dr. Rucker goes, I'll see if Dr. Newman wants to give some closing remarks, but you can go ahead, sir.
Well, I was, again, just to formally say, again, thank you for your time, thank you for attention, and not just your attention, but, I want to thank you currently and in advance for those of you who may not have it yet. I want to thank you for your intention, all right? So where you go from here, what you do next, the decisions that you make, the choices you make, the priorities you set, what you believe in, what you agree to, right? I want to thank you in advance because I have faith that you all are going to do not just great things but great things for good reasons. So I want to thank you for your attention and your intention. We need you. We're looking forward to your contributions to the quality of all of our lives, and I look forward to seeing all of your faces in the future. And y'all make sure you remind me, I was in the audience at Jarvis Christian, and this is what I'm doing now, and this is right. This is what I've become. This is who I am. That's what I want to hear. That was my voice. That was your voice. I saw you smiling, so that's why it changed into, this is who I am now. I'm like, oh yeah? All right. So, and if I may, Dr. Newman, just to preempt this, because this sounds awkward saying this myself. Normally somebody else does this. But there were a couple requests for photos already. So and I just saw hands. So depending on time or whatever, I just want to make sure we do this with a system. And can we do it in here? All right, so as I prepare to hand over the mic to Dr. Newman, whoever wants a photo, well, there's more people on this side, so let's line up over here. All right, we'll step up, take a photo, and then you'll exit out this way and out of the auditorium. All right, no, that's all right. They're already on the move. They can pay attention from there. All right, I'm doing that as he makes his way. You want to speak from there, sir? All right. So thank you again. Yeah, thank you very much. So I want to make sure as well that you and I got a picture, and we got it up here with the nice artwork and everything behind us.
Give me just 1 minute of your time and your attention. Give me just 1 minute of your time. Thank you so much. Let's give our guests another round of applause, please. This has been absolutely wonderful. I only intended, Amir, to come in here for a couple of minutes, and I was going to leave and go back to work, but I stayed. And one thing about this is that I've learned is that you never get too old to learn. And I learned a lot today. And I even began to think about myself and my next phase of life. I've announced my retirement, but that doesn't mean I stopped learning. So young people, continue to learn. continue to find out who you are and do you and be the best you that you can be. You know, I'm so proud of Amir. He and I are great friends, and now we have another friend. Wouldn't it be nice to have, we already have Amir in the classroom, Professor Amir Wyndham. Wouldn't it be nice to have Professor Rucker in the classroom as well? So let's work on that. We would love for you to come and teach with Jarvis Christian University. Dr. Judson, are you ready for that? Can you handle this? Okay. So again, let's give our guests. And also, again, let's thank Wells Fargo. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much. And we're looking forward to a long relationship. So again, thank you, man. Appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you.
All right.